They represent the financial picture of the farm. Now, in farm management, how do we manage this balance sheet? Well, that is something called, and I'm going to change colors a bit just to keep it different. That is something I wanted to introduce to you today called the chart of accounts. Now, the chart of accounts is how we actually organize the books. So how do you manage the balance sheet, which runs the farm here? How do you manage the balance sheet? You really manage something called a chart of accounts, and that's really our accounting of our business. And then from here, we're going to talk about how we enter the accounting entries, how our records are done. But before we even talk about that, we ought to talk about, again, the balance sheet represents the farm, and then these items are organized into a chart of accounts, which is really what we use. So a chart of accounts is going to be a detailed listing of all of the assets that we have, all the liabilities that we have, and all of the equity that we have. And so I'm going to continue over and come across. Chart of accounts is organized very much like the balance sheet is. It sometimes starts with, so what are your asset categories? And I'm going to put a few of these categories that would be common. So a chart of accounts is going to start off with usually things like a bank account. So a bank account would be like your checking, savings. You could have both checking and savings. You could have multiple checking accounts. So really it's just the chart of accounts. The chart of accounts is going to start, with your bank accounts. That's your first asset that you typically have. After that, the chart of accounts is going to have an account that's probably going to represent things that are major assets, like, for example, the land for our farm. That is an asset. Maybe you could have all the equipment listed. That would be an asset. Those are just good examples. There would be a lot more. You could have another set of items that is inventory. Now, inventory usually needs to get specific, so I'm going to say inventory for like the hay crop that we've harvested and not sold. So these would be examples, and all these are examples, by the way. There could be a lot more of these listed, but your chart of accounts is going to start usually with asset listings. All right, after that, the chart of accounts is going to change gears, and I'm going to change colors, but the chart of account is going to move into liabilities. And so let's say that we had a land note. That land note would be listed. Let's say that we had an equipment loan. So that would be listed as well. So your